Hello and welcome to another comic book tutorial of me as I'm traveling through my stops along the way of getting this comic book out to the general public, hopefully on a Kickstarter this upcoming fall, maybe Christmas season. Let's see how that happens. I'll have more details about the comic book itself and other items that are interesting for you, like a comic strip that I'm putting out as well. I'll have all of that for you in links at the end of this video, where I'll discuss it a little bit more and further in detail. So right now I'm kind of at the halfway point of this comic book, and as I was penciling these pages here, I thought it was really a cool idea to present to you how I solve the problems with penciling, and what I mainly call them camera angles. To begin with, you start penciling a comic book page, but you don't know where to begin. You have the characters, you have the script, and you have the scene they're in, and you ask yourself, how do you begin to put all of this together? In today's video, I'll be addressing the problem of exactly where you put things in your panels to make your comic the best it can be. I'll be talking about camera angles today. Okay, so what is a camera angle? Camera angle is where you placed an imaginary point of view that fills the image with what lays before it. There's many examples out there, but I think for my purposes, I'd like to discuss four major ones that I use all the time. And that would be mid-range, pullback, close-up, and then a specialty angle. And what I'd like to do is take these pencil pages here and go to a screen grab video mini movie that I'm going to make, where I walk you through exactly how my thought process in putting like a 3 or 4 page sequence within my new comic book that's up and coming, and why I chose certain viewpoints and how it works with the comic. Let's explain what I mean and go right to that mini movie presentation. Okay then, let's take a look at pages 12, 13, 14, and 15 of Kill the Messenger Part 1, coming this fall, perhaps December, to Kickstarter. To set the scene up, my bike messenger main character Tabitha has had a really trying day. It's Friday, and she goes to the bar where all the other bike messengers hang out. Okay, and showing you just the raw penciled pages, I lay in the lettering shortly thereafter, and then proceed with the inking and coloring with those elements, working together. So these would be what you might call mock-ups, okay? But they're very close to what the actual pencil page looks like. So this page is 12. We see Tabitha being grabbed and put on a chair, and she's looking down at the bar. These are all bike messengers singing to her. She's laughing and chuckling. And finally, a reverse angle where we're in the bar looking up at her. Go to page 13. Okay. Somebody beckons to bring her down, and she's sitting with this guy. Now there's somebody else getting into the act with a unicycle. They watch him. It doesn't go well. Page 14. And we flip outside the bar just for a moment with this interesting kind of high angle, looking down, high angle shot, and a few mid-range ones, a close-up down here, and then finally the last one. Here's what you might call the jumping off point, where she just remembers something and she has to leave. A good kind of a general crowd view, a pullback shot, as I called it, and again, finishing with a whole new scene happening here, where she's traveling down the road. So of course we got kind of a pullback or a landscape shot. So let's go back to the page 12, okay, where it all began, and we'll get in a little bit closer. Okay. Top 3 panels here. You notice that there's a lot of empty space out here. She's standing at the door. It's nighttime, so the background is going to be dark, and the light's going to be coming at her face and illuminating her. But I have also these elements here, so let me just throw them in. This is the song that everybody's in the middle of singing, which I laced in kind of a midpoint in this pencil page. Pencil page is actually done in Photoshop, and it's in several layers. So you don't really see those layers, but nested inside the layers is this lettering of the song that they're singing. Dexy's Midnight Runners, Come On Eileen. Yes, it's set in the 80s, and it's pretty hokey, I understand. And again, we have more of that song. That's why I left enough space up here, and I didn't really bother with the detail of the people in the background, because we're going to have that. And finally, on the whole page, we have this as well up here. Now, what else do we got going on in this page that I have to allow for and think about in penciling? I have the captions with the words inside of them. Also, I sprinkled some notes in and around. I like doing that too. But you notice, like in here, she's surprised, and the what the, there's enough room for that to nice and comfortably sit. You notice how everything in here just kind of works together compositionally. I don't have anything cramped or tight or last minute looking. Here, I was kind of cheating the angle a little bit. She's turned a little bit, and there's this diagonal that shows that she's on another level. She's sitting up on the swivel chair looking down. Side view of her face to show she's smiling, and then to emphasize that smile, she's almost embarrassed. She has her fingers up to her hands. This, you could call this a close-up, but I still think it's kind of a mid-range, and the purpose I didn't do a tight close-up is I wanted her hands to show emotion as well, like she's embarrassed, she's putting her hands up to her face. Then finally we're treated with the view coming down from the bar and going up again. Okay, so we have that one. Now let's move on to page 13. And mid-range camera angle. Again, mid-range, and showing Tabitha in the background being gently let down off the bar, and then sitting down with the gentleman that beckoned to her in the first place up here. Preceded by a close-up of the finger hitting the play button on the CD player, and here we have a guy showing off on the unicycle and their reaction to it. So let's put in the word balloons and the sound effects and all that stuff here. Again, I left enough room for it up here and enough room down here. And here the camera angle shows in behind him is Queen. Another one bites the dust. It's hard to read it in the black and white here, but once it gets into color, I think it'll be much more legible. There'll be more contrast there. And then she's laying a bet. That's money in her hand with the sound effect. Okay. So we have that. And then on to page 14. Some time has gone by, And we're now looking at the bar on the corner. That's where she walked in, by the way. And it's got glass brick on the outside. There's glass brick on the inside. I thought this was a really interesting angle that kind of showcases where they are. They're in the bar. And then here's a little quickie convention that I mentioned. If it's obvious that there's talking going on inside between people, you can always just not do the word balloons because it's out. You don't need to point into the building. But then to show that they are related to the building, I put in quotation marks here. The reason for the quotation marks is they exist instead of the word balloon tail pointing in. And this one right here, the evening wore on, that's really Tabitha herself narrating. Anytime you see a narration box in this comic, it's the main character narrating, telling you her story. So again, that's another convention. By this page 14, the reader would be understanding that. We have this back and forth conversation. If I take out the word balloons, again, the camera angle, a spatial relationship, I allow for enough room up there. And then, let's see. The subject of the conversation, I'll read it to you. The thing is, they never see you. You ride around all day like this invisible shadow on the road. But you can use it to your advantage. How's that? Working the angles, back alleys, turning against traffic into deserted one-ways, quick in and out. Now we go to a close-up of Tabitha generally just being frustrated and tired of being in her job as a bike messenger. And she says, "It sucks. The only in and out I want to see is me getting the fuck out of messengering. To think I abandoned art school for this." And then change the subject. "Hey Jerry, what the hell is that?" "Oh, it's the Biff Award. We started just tonight, before you got here." Here's another convention too with word balloons. The tail is truncated. That means we're in the room where he's speaking and the tail is going off to him. I don't know how I'll explain that, but it looks right to me. Anyway, and that award is like a handmade thing where it looks like a bike messenger is getting into an accident. And the reason why they have this award, let's jump to here, is because of this guy. And it's going to be an ongoing thing. Anytime anybody gets into an accident, they'll hand over the Biff Award to the next person. Okay. Again, a lot of blank space up on top, but once you put the word balloons and the dialogue, it makes sense. Compositionally, we now have something that makes sense. And here's another one that illustrates the subject of this video really nicely, especially these two panels right here. Let me take out the word balloons and the talking again, just so you can see the panel. In this panel right here, you see the bar for what it is. You see a bunch of round tables, people standing around, and I intentionally left kind of this dead space here because she's the only one talking and she'll say something there, but it triggers a memory, something she had to do. Okay, let's put those in now. Just yesterday I was finishing my route and this idiot comes along in an old Impala and, "Oh, that reminds me, I gotta go." So she's putting on her helmet, getting ready to hit the streets. And this panel right here would be like a transition panel. And I chose a close-up, again with the fingers, to show that she's surprising herself. She got a little carried away at the bar and spent a little too long, and now she has to go run a special errand that she promised herself to do. It's getting late, but there's still enough time to go do it. Okay. Now she's on the bike going through the kind of sketchy part of Boston, and she's going back to take care of something. So that explains again the jumping off point, the pullback shot, and we have the close up, okay, and then the reverse angle. We have the point of view from on top of the bar, then point of view from down beneath the bar. And these are all methods that you can use to make the storytelling flow of your comic book that much better, and allow for the reader to feel like they're kind of, moving around in the space that you've established in your comic book. And I hope that's helpful for you. We'll go back to me sitting on the chair and talking at you. Okay, so went through the 4 categories that influence camera angles. Now there's other elements that influence how you're going to draw out your comic book page, and I can think of 3 major ones that you always have to keep in mind that are always going to be a presence there. First is, of course, the word balloons. Surprise! There's going to be a big white ovals laying about your page, and how you design your panels will be strongly influenced by how much or little space you're going to allow it. Always treat word balloons like they're characters floating in and around everywhere. Change the order in which you see the characters' faces to match the order in which the word balloons are read. I mean, it sounds duh, but it's very, very important. The second major factor is information. In a penciled page, is particularly in the panel, you're going to be conveying information to the reader, something about your comic book or how the reader should be taking your comic book. Like a big pullback shot gives the reader a general feel for what a scene is, what it'd be like to enter it, how crowded, empty, busy, tranquil, or dangerous, or benign can be relayed in the pullback shot. That's the second factor, is information. Third, and certainly not last, but for the purpose of this video, I'd like to just make this the last one factor to consider, and for the camera angles, and that's what I call the jumping off point. A jumping off point is where you're establishing to the reader an important transition. It could be we're going to a new location, there's the entrance or exit of a major character. It could be a deliberate breather, where a passage of little or no action to let your reader catch their breath. Most of the time, a jumping off point is a type of scene constructed to simply acknowledge the approaching change in the story. So then to recap, let's understand that there's a lot of places, points of view, that you can show your reader in the terms of the camera, where you place the camera. But for me, there's 4 basic categories. You have the mid-range, the pullback, the close-up, and then specialty camera angles. And then influencing those 4 things would be things that you think about on the back of your mind, would be the order and placement of the word balloons, the kind of information that you're conveying in your particular image or panel, and then in the story, where are the jumping off points. So in other words, if you're saying, if it's the last scene, last image of a scene, what do you want the reader to remember it by? And that might be an important factor as to what camera angle to choose. So as I promised, I would be talking about my comic book projects. Kill the Messenger is an upcoming project that will be coming up on Kickstarter, set in the 1980s, about a bicycle messenger in Boston. Those same characters that will be in that future comic book are actually existing here right now, where you can go on to dorchester.timsnotebook.com. And for free, every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, there's a fun little comic strip, black and white comic strip involving the 4 major characters that surround my story. I think fans of like Love and Rockets, the Hernandez brothers, and maybe some stuff by Daniel Clowes, like Ghost World, Adrian Tomine, with his work, would find this to be interesting, because it's basically, you know, like the day-to-day lives of 4 young people as they interact with each other. I've got a little bit over a dozen strips up right now that you can look at for free. Real cheap per month subscription is $3, where you get a free copy of my May Feel Late comic book. And then, of course, there's my my website, www.timsnotebook.com, where you can sample a whole lot of other wonderful comic books that I make. And there's links going to my store site where you can purchase my comic books. Thank you very much for watching this video to the end. All 3 of you people. I'm just kidding. What I want to say to you is that the reason why you're looking at this is that you're curious about how to make your own comic books better. And I hope that with this, you know, tackling the penciling aspect of making a comic book page, that I kind of help to kind of block out and mark out major simple areas that you could think about as you're trying to put it together to make it look like it's something that your reader would want to read and want to continue to read. Keep working on your comic books. No matter what level you are, you can always get better. You will always find it. It gives you very great feedback, and it's something that that the world needs. The world needs more creative people, and I want you to keep on creative, and I want you to subscribe to this channel and come back again for my next video. Thank you, and have a great day.